All right, this is going to be Landslide by Fleetwood Mac by request. I've had a bunch of requests for this over the past year. So we got the capo on the 3rd fret on this. We're going to start out with a C chord. So we kind of have a dum da dum da 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 dum da dee da dum. That's kind of all the open strings with a little 3 here on the 2nd popping in and out. So we got, and then we're going to go to A minor. Back to the opens with that 3 to open again. So we got. So we're going to do that twice for the intro. Let's try it together. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm going to have some little finger picking in here that you could try if you'd like. I'll give you a little preview real quick here. Okay, so we'll come back to that later on, but let's stick with the strumming for right now. So we got. Okay, so that's going to go for 3 verses. So we have like a C to a G type of thing, A minor to a G type of thing. So we're going to do that 3 times for a verse after we've done it twice for the intro. And then we're going to do another C bit to the G. And then we're going to do A minor. We're going to do like 3 beats of A minor. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll go to that G on that 4th beat. So it waits a little bit later is all that's happening there. So we come from our C, G, A minor, G, and then we're back into a new verse. And that verse has 3 more sets of all that. And then we're going to go into our C again, G, now we have A minor, kind of just have a regular G on that one. Now we get into a new part, C, G. Now here we kind of have a, you could have like an A minor 7 with a little 3 on the bottom down there. So it's like a C to G. Now like A minor 7 to G, C, G again. And then we have an A minor and an A minor with the F sharp in the bass. So that's a cool little sound there. You got your pinky up here on the 4th fret with the 2, 1, and open from an A minor. So let's look at our new part. This is after the 2nd set of verses and things like that. We're going to go into the C. It's the one that goes C to G and then kind of an A minor 7 thing. So 3 and 4 and G, A minor 7, G, C, back to G. And now we have our A minor. You could kind of hammer in this little open right here into the 1 on the 2nd string. And you get into that A minor. And then we're going to put that F sharp in the bass up there. And if you have a tough time doing that one, you could put the F sharp down here and get kind of a D7 chord that way. Because it ends up being kind of an A minor mixed with a D7 kind of thing with that note. So you'd have like a C, G, we'll hammer in on that A minor. So you could just go to that D7, but if you can hit that one, it's kind of cool sounding in that bassy area. Okay, then we start a chorus, which is going to be G chord. And you can kind of have a 4 up here in this bass. You can keep the G, kind of move to that F sharp, and then we can have this sort of E minor with that 3 on the bottom. But you could also kind of add a 3 here on the 2nd string on this. So G, kind of bring that one out for that E minor there. And then we're going to have a C, G, A minor. And then we'll have that F sharp in the bass there again. Back to G. And this is like the chorus. 4 and 3 there, 2 and 3. E minor, C, G. And then we got A minor. And like A minor to G. Okay, then we're going to have a solo. So let's take a look at that whole chorus again. We had G, and then we had like the 4 in the bass. In some fashion, you could put a 3 down here with it. G, got the F sharp bass, we got an E minor 7, E minor. I guess that was just a regular E minor, but we had that 3 in the bottom there. And then we got C, G, and A minor. You could hammer in there if you want. And then we have the F sharp bass, back to the G, walking down. We got C to G again. Then we got A minor to the G. Now we got a solo, same chord, C to G, A minor G. So we got 4 times through this solo. You can start doing some hammers in those A minors when you get used to it. So this will be the 4th time. Okay, then after that solo, we're going to get back in this chorus. Do it again. And then we keep getting into that repeat. C, G, A minor, G. Okay, so it just does that a whole bunch of times. At one point it stops and then it picks back up. And then the last time, it's gonna end on the A minor. Okay, so Landslide, let's take a look at that finger picking now. So we got C chord, we got, okay, so that's our first 8 notes. We got 1 in the 2nd string, 1, 0, 2, 1, 1, 0, 2, and then a little open. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our first 8 notes. Try that. 3, 4. Okay, then our next set of notes is going to go open on the 2nd, down all those opens, open, 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 3 on the 2nd, open, open, open. So that's 7 notes. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So. Okay, so the second half again, starting on the 2nd string open. Try that one more time. 3, 4. So nice and slow, both parts. 3, 4. Okay, so we're gonna do that again. 3, 4. Okay, then after we've done one set of that, we have to move to the A minor chord. We're gonna go 2 open on the G string and then 2 on the big string. Down to this 1 here on the 2nd string. So 2, 0, 2, 1, then 2, 0, 2, and then the little one open. So. And then we have the ending from the first part. So once again, this was 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 0, 2, open, and then our normal ending. So this whole thing would be okay, and that repeats a whole bunch of times. So I'll do it up to speed now. Okay, and then after it does the C part, after all those verses, and it has the little part where it went A minor 3 times and then to the G, that would be. So it just does those 4 notes, that series 3 times, and then it does and ends on a 3 there. So. And then you're back into verses, and then the one that ends after the next set of verses would be 2 times of that, and then open, 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 3, open, open, open. Okay, and that's about as far as the finger picking went. So one more time through all that. And that repeats, and then you're ending here 3 times. And then the verses are the same, the ending of the next set of verses. Back to one of those. Okay, so Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. Hope y'all dug that. There'll be a tab, a little chord chart in here. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. All right, this is going to be Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac. We're going to start out with this riff here. Okay, so that's our intro riff. So we're going to have 2 on the G string and 1 on the B string. So it's 2 and 1 to 4 and 3. And then 5 and 5. I suggest using these other 2 fingers. That way you have different fingers to help each other out. So we got back to the 4-3, and then 2 to 1 to the opens on those same 2 strings. So we're gonna go to the 2 biggest strings, the 2s right there, kind of part of like an A minor chord. So we're gonna go. And then we're going to jump to the 3 and the 2, part of an F chord. So we hit those big 2 strings, 3 and 2. And then we're to the G and the B, opens. To the 2 and the 1 there. 2 hits on those opens. Back to the 3-2. So. So we end on the 2-2, then we switch to the 3-2. And we do the whole thing twice. So let's try to do that. 2, 3, 4. And then we switch 3-2. Then we start again and switch to 3-2. End on that 3-2 as well. Okay, then we get into a verse, kind of starts out the same. But then we just strum F. Kind of like a 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So 2 bars of that F, then we're back to the riff. And then we got our F. 2 bars again. Now we have a little change. So this next riff is interesting. It's kind of like we're going to pause for a quick second, or you could hit the C here. So we have interesting little harmony chords here. We got 2 and open to the 3 and 2 to the open and 1. That's open on the G and 1 on the B. So it's big 2 strings, 2 and open to 3 and 2, and then jump down a set of strings for the G and B strings, open and 1. So you either rest and go like rest. Or you could hit a little C at the beginning of that. So 2, 3, 4. Now at the end of that we have the open and 1. Bum, bum. Back to the big 2 and open. So here's your different ways of doing it again. So this would be with the C on the downbeat on the 1. 3, 4. And then we're going to switch to this thing. So here we have a 3 and a 2. And then the 2 and the 1. To the opens. To the 3 and 2 a couple times. So. And it kind of ends with a 3 to 2 to 2 to open. So let's look at that whole new thing again. We got. that ends up having a kind of an extra one that goes da do dee da do dee da do da. Okay, so you have the 1 and the 2 to the opens, to the 3 2, 2 1 again, open. Last one goes opens, the 3 to 2 to open. So this whole little thing here is okay, something like that, and then we're back in. And then we're back into. Now we have the chorus. We're gonna do that F strum. We're gonna do this 4 times. Fourth time. We're gonna have an extra F here. So we got a little riff there. We got opens, 2 to 1 to open. So here we're gonna have a open on the G with a 3 on the B string. And then the 2 1 open to the 2s. So we got. And then we're back to a verse. Now another fun thing here is he gets into a couple solo sections, and you could use your A minor pentatonic. And have some fun soloing with this one too, with your A minor pentatonic scale. Okay, so we're back to a verse. And then we have that change again. Tricky little part. Okay, so that's like dee da do dee da do da, and then we have the. Kind of just repeat this part. Okay, Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac. Once again, the intro was. We do that twice, and your verses. You just strum the F, a couple bars. And that change was. So that's a switcheroo from 3 to 2 to 2 to open. Right, and then we had that one riff after a while. We had an extra F. Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac. I always loved that one. Hope you all dig it. There will be a tab with this. Enjoy. Talk to you soon. All right, this is a lesson on Never Going Back Again by Fleetwood Mac, Lindsey Buckingham. Got some great finger picking stuff in here. So we're gonna have a capo on the 4th fret. We're also gonna have a drop D. So you get to drop the big string down to a D. Of course, retune everything when you get your capo on the 4th fret there. Now there's two basic parts to this song. They're both very complicated. I'm going to take them, I'm going to kind of like play the first one sort of near real speed and then break it all down and do the same for the second part. So here we go. Okay, so that's our first part. So that was open on the big one, and then 4 and 3. We got 4 in the 4th string and 3 on the 2nd string. We switch to the 5th string bass, and we do this. We're going to do a hammer. This is the D string or the 4th string and the 2nd string, hammering into the 4 and the 3 on the same strings there. So we got open, 4 and 3, 5th string, hammer. Okay, then we're going to get into a little pattern here. We're going to hold this chord. We have 4 on the 4th string, and then 2, and then 3, and then 5. 4, 2, 3, 5. Okay, so we have a kind of a boom chick bass going on. We got boom chink, boom da dee 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 da dee. Okay, so you got that big string to 5th string as you're moving bass while you're doing all these other things. So we have. Now that one also has another kind of a bass note with it. It's like a. So if we look at all this, now at this point we have to go big one, 3rd string, and then hit the 4th string and 1st string at the same time to the 2nd string there. So, and then we come down to the 5th string bass, open and 2 to the 5, and then we have the 4 and 3 to the 2. Okay, so the second half of this measure is. So real slow. So the whole measure. Okay, now the next measure. So we do the big one, and then we do a pull off from the 4-3 to the 2s. Switch our bass, and then we have the 3rd and 1st strings open. So now we're going to get into this shape. We got the 4, 2, and 3 from a D with the F sharp bass type of thing. We're going to have the big one with this 3 on the 2nd string. So we go open and 3 to the 2, 4. But when we hit the 4, we got the little 5 on the bottom. So we got. So that's open and 3 to 2, and then 4 and 5 at the same time to the 3 on the 2nd string. And then we can switch bass to the 5th string. So we'll have the open and 2 to the little 5 to the 4 and 3. So that whole measure again. So let's look at the first measure. So we have an interesting chord here now. We got to bar the 2s on the 3 bottom strings. We got to get these fingers up in here. We got to get our ring finger to the 5th fret. What we're looking at is the 5th fret, this capo, on the 4th string, and we have the pinky on the 2nd string, 5th fret. We're gonna bar this down here. So we have open, 5, 2, 5, 2. So that takes a bit of stretching to be able to get that. We're gonna have. So what happens is we have a alternating kind of a bass thing going through this. So the bass is going open 5, open 5, open 5, open 5, and at the same time you're going. So that's a little pattern of 2, 5, 2, 2, 5, 2, 2, 5, 2, 2, 5, 2, 2, 5, 2, 2, and it's going with that bass. So it's real tricky, it's real cool. So it gets into. Okay, and then we're into. that's our D with F sharp bass type of thing. Big one with the 3, 2 to 4, and now we're going open on the G, open on the 3rd and 1st strings, double hammer into the 2s. You could do it like that. I kind of just do it with one finger. So it's, and you got to hit that 5th string bass when you get that hammer. So back to the open on the 3rd and 1st strings. Now we have big string open with the 4 and the 3 here on the 4th and 2nd. And we have a little thing at the end, back to that shape, 4, 5, and then 5th string bass, and then 3, 4, 2. So that last measure is. Okay, so let's go through it all. We got. Okay, one more time. Okay, now our second part. So this is going to have also an alternating bass, big 1 to 5th, 6th to 5th, keeps going back and forth between those. Okay, we're going to have. So what we have here is, this is, this is our 12th fret. We can kind of look at this as like the 11th, but on the tab it's 7 and 10, 7 away from the capo. So we're going to have the big 1, and then this 7 on the 4th string with 10 on the 1st string. So when we switch to the 5th string bass, we go to the 9 down here. It looks like the 13 really, but then we're going to hit the 4th and 3rd strings after that. So we got. Now we're going to go 10s on these 2 strings here. And we're going to hit the big string with the little 10, and then 10 on the 2nd string. And then we're going to come in here and use our thumb and our 1st finger to get these 7s here we're looking at them as. So we got the 10 and the open to the other 10. We got these 2 7s. See, I'm bringing my thumb in there to get that 4th string. So we got to that little one. And now we're going to go. And then we're going to hit that D string, that 4th string with that little 10 and that other 10. So we got. And then big one. So we have that alternating bass. We have like a. In the middle of all that, so we got. Now the second one, that one's a little different. We're gonna have the 5th string bass hit with the little 9 down here and put an 8 on the 2nd string. And then we have our 4th and 3rd strings there, so we got. And now we're gonna go back to this other thing. So that was just like the other one. Then we go back to the first riff of these. Now we have our last part here. We're gonna have 2 with the 4, 3, and then we're gonna have a big 4. So that's 6th string and then 2nd, 4th, and 3rd. So we got. And then we have this last thing, 2 and 3, 2 on the 5th, 3 on the 2nd. To the 2 on the 4th string, 4 on the 5th string, little 5th fret. So we got. So our last thing there is going to be the 5th string open, 2 on the 3rd string, hammer the 2s into 4 and 3. So we got. And we're back to the first part. Then our last part. Okay, then at the end of the song, when we get into the ending of the first part, we got the it'll just end with that chord. So you got open, open, 4, 2, and 3. So once again, we got just kind of strum that last one there. So. All right, so if you want to play along with me, I'll count you off. Here we go. First part, 2, 3, 4. Other part. All right, Lindsey Buckingham, Fleetwood Mac, tasty stuff. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all soon.